Well, hello, my friends. Today we're going to dive into a topic that many of you find a bit intimidating, and I get this question a lot: how to create an atmospheric watercolor landscape. And the secret to a successful atmospheric landscape in watercolor isn't about always adding more detail. It's actually about knowing what to leave out. So we're going to work on capturing that soft morning glow and that sense of mystery that only watercolor can achieve through its natural transparency. So before we begin, let's talk about the tools that I will be using. Now for this one, I am making sure I'm using a great watercolor paper. I have my Arches 140-pound cold press paper that is 100% cotton. That's going to really help those blends, those soft movement of the colors for you. So grab yourself some good paper. For paints, I'm using my Rosa paints because they are very juicy. They highly activate the color very fast. And for colors, I'm going to be using my Quin Gold, my Madder Red, Lavender, also a little bit of Payne's Gray and Indigo. And for the last color, I will be using the Sepia. So not a whole lot of colors. I tested out the deep colors of the Payne's Gray and the Indigo, got a color that I like, and we're going to be mixing a little bit here. I'm also using a large number 9 wash brush, mop brush by Meeden. And for a few final details at the end, I'm going to be using my other favorite brush. It's my Good Hair brush by Lebanson, and I will link all of the information down below in the description box for you if you need any of these supplies. Hi, I am Kellie Chasse. I love sharing my watercolor techniques to help you paint with more confidence and less stress. You can join our creative community. You get a 7-day free trial to explore over 2 years worth of ad-free content, and it includes new weekly tutorials and my popular 5-minute live Fridays. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, there is a seat for you at my table. We hope you join and stick around. And before we wet that paper, I just want to give a quick shout out to my supporters of this channel here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you find these tutorials helpful, hitting that like button or checking out some of the sponsors helps keep these videos lights on and the paint flowing. All right, so we're going to start with a wet on wet technique. So I'm going to first lay down this very light shade of Quin Gold. I have watered this pigment down. You can see how light it is. I've also got my, I'm going to look to see what color is Madder Rose or Madder Red. And I've got a little bit of that Quin Gold mixed in with it. And again, I'm just going to drop some of that on top, a couple of areas. I'm leaving some white space here. And I have a very soft color. So the trick to these atmospheric things is less is more. So I'm going to drop in now that darker color. I've mixed a little bit of that lavender along with my Payne's Gray, maybe a tad bit of indigo. Added more lavender because again, I'm just lightly touching that paper, just kind of kissing it. Now this one holds a lot of water, a lot of pigment, so it's really easy to overwork with this. So you have to be careful. You don't want to take up all the white spots, and I don't want to cover up all of those little areas of those lighter values that I put in there. And you can see where it's already starting to bloom. Some of that light pink and that Quin Gold is just popping through. It's going to give it a little bit of a burst. And I pause a little bit here, going in a little bit darker now, and we're going to create that line of trees across here. Now remember, everything is wet. I'm just going to tap. Now I do a lot of this in my 5-minute warm-ups as well, very similar, but we're using bigger brushes this time and we're not doing our dashes. So it's kind of on the same level as that, but a little bit more detailed. And this one obviously is going to be a little bit longer, but not by much, I will say. Again, using a bigger brush really helps this. So I've just added some of that darker Payne's Gray and Indigo across the bottom. I'm letting the sky do its thing. I'm letting those colors burst in there, grabbing a little bit of lavender now. I'm going to lighten things up and we want to add something to the front. Didn't do lavender. I did more of that mixture. Now I'm adding the lavender. So that was red, a little bit of Quin Gold at first. I'm going to get 2 colors down there. And so because I have the sky kind of going across, I want a little bit more action. So I'm going to change up. Instead of just going straight across left to right, we're going to go at an angle. So we have another look in this painting. It's not just everything being straight across. Gives your eye a little bit more pleasure. It roams around your painting more. And it's all about testing things. I'm going to let that bloom. I've added water. I've switched now to that smaller detail brush. I want to mention I did leave some white space in there too. And now we're going to go in with some sepia across the bottom. So I'm just giving the illusion of some grass. Now some of that's wet, so timing is very important. Water to pigment ratio is very important. Just because it's wet, I'm going to go back in with a little bit of darker value in this one. And I'm going to work that grass a little bit more, some of the dry areas. And then once that does dry, we'll go in with just a little bit more because I know everything is moving at this point. Everything is wet. So sometimes you can get what they call a cauliflower bloom. I actually like those in certain areas, and you can see I have some going on the left-hand side. Kind of explodes in a weird way where you'll get these little jagged shapes. Now, if you don't want this, the fix is timing and water to pigment ratio issues. If your paper is wet, your brush must be drier than the paper. So if you drop a watery brush onto damp paper, you're going to get a bloom. To get those soft and misty trees, use thick, creamy pigment with very little water on the brush. So I also want to talk a little bit about the plan. A lot of times when I'm doing these type of paintings, I don't necessarily have a plan. I might plan out my colors, but most of this is very intuitive, watching where the colors go and saving those favorite places and not covering them up or going over them, but yet if there's areas that you're not happy with, that's where I would add trees. Or if I need to pump up a little bit more, like in here, I'm going to scratch some of this. I'm going to create a little bit more texture. Now, if I don't have, if I don't wait for that to dry, this is another way where I can add more details in a painting without actually having to paint it. So scratch work is very fun. You can see where the paint comes back and settles into those little crevices. So again, it's another fun little way to work around your painting while you're waiting for things to dry. And that is another part of my issue, that I don't like to wait for things to dry sometimes, and I'll go in too soon. So right now I can see I'm testing it. I'm going to use my little brush. We're going to make some tall trees. Again, I want to get some more height in here. And so I'm just popping in some trees. I have to be careful because some of those areas are still wet. You can see right there on the left, it's wet. On the right, it's dry. So this is part of the fun about watercolor. The atmospheric look is all about letting go of control and just trusting the water. And it does take some practice. But once you master those shifts in your timing, it's where the magic happens. So I would love to know which one of these is your biggest pain point. Is it hard edges in your watercolors? The dreaded cauliflower blooms? Let's talk about it in the comments. Another thing I want to mention is not losing your light source. So your painting can start to look very dark and very heavy, and you'll lose that glow. So for an atmospheric painting, you want to make sure you have your light source, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all of the white of the paper. You can see that nice little peachy color where that burst of quin gold and like red mixed together made that beautiful glow back there. Once it's gone, if you cover it up, it's done for. So before you touch your brush to the paper, kind of decide where your brightest glow is going to be and protect that area. You'll notice I did not put much for trees there. I left that alone and let that really shine through. But you don't want to cover it up like I did on the edges. I went into the areas that were more blue and used that darker pigment there. I'm also going to use a little bit of that Payne's Gray just for a little light drag to give it a little bit more texture because it was all solid back there. So I have great light in this one. I was very happy with it, but I do want to add just a few little birch trees in here. This is always like my little go-to at the end. I love to just throw a little bit of light in some of those darker areas in the back. So just a few. And again, I still need to order myself some more bleed proof white because this jar is gone, and I say this every week. It's amazing how long it has lasted though. The nice thing about it is you can reactivate it. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of yellow to it, see if we can get just a few little leaf shapes in here. I don't want it to be too bright, like that's really bright, so I'm going to take my finger, just tap out some of that. In our Patreon group last week, we did our 5-Minute Friday, and we used our finger to make leaves. So that was really fun. So I think this week I'm probably going to do something very similar to this for our 5-Minute Friday. This one didn't take that long. It was 10 minutes, but I really went back in, had a lot of fun with it. But it was still a very quick painting. And sometimes by letting things do what they want to do and just adding a few touches at the very end, trying not to go overboard. So I'm going to add a little bit more grass down here, again, a little bit darker color, just to bring that forward in the painting. But I'm not touching much of that in the background there. Everything is just kept really light. I just added a few details in the trees and the grass, and we're going to let the paints speak for themselves for the rest of that painting. And you get that beautiful atmospheric glow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. And if you are a patron, I can't wait for our 5-Minute Friday warm up this week. We're going to try another one of these. And I just want to show you how different each one of them can turn out. It's really hard to recreate something like this. It's more of a go with the flow. Make sure you leave your favorite places and cover up what you don't like. And that's the best way that I can say atmospheric paintings work for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great week. Bye-bye.